to the hybrid congressional briefing, Maryland Maryland Chin Association ni kan organization to mi congressional briefing si to hi tong pala thok ding sa chang kahi alu na ka esta tu chu vào rong cái tha chang le tom pa de ning kong gao kha man ka chim ta la chik to mo
sessions na on na ke consider bola dan activity to sa kan yan sila maabot ko kan ma ko yang sudah terlihat dia penting sama Tuhan. Ini kan boleh pakai kan kalau zoom zoom mana kan zoom ni akan join ni memang kan zoom kan semua yang kan semua
Zoom kan tak tahu kau selai mah. Aduh memang ni join kau selai mah. Okay. Wah tidak ti. Si okay. Okay. Si. Kita capol ke report nanti ni pol ke sini. Kan ni ami pichal kan ram cha irian tuan mi pichal de popo tu anak ting itu pitum he chon mi he wanci mu zo u le doctor sorry zema ong wanci zema ong se itu pitum chon jo ma mi ke kan senator Paul tu chon trin thau po dong VON nakra kan ke chon tuan lo nei tu tuan lo pichal dau nei mi tu anak radi non anak radi go Dr. Sasa Berde du aban long de le rak phan ri lo rak phan khau tuan hadak mo tu chun kan malai mi ka khen Reverend Dr. San Thonglian Benjamin le Reverend Than Kieu zong anak ra
Just let me know later in the day. Sit in the back with Christiana. It's good for something. Well, so we will
I'm Robin Scoops, coordinator of the Burma Refugee Commission and also former Associate General Secretary of the ABC USA, now retired. I traveled to Burma twice, once to the Chin State. It's my honor to welcome you to this hybrid congressional briefing. Burma, escalating human rights and religious freedom violations, targeting minority Christians here at the Dirksen Senate Office Building in Washington, D.C. I want to begin by expressing my deep gratitude to Senator Chris Van Hollen for helping us to do this important briefing on the 4th anniversary of the 2021 military coup in Burma. I would also like to thank Senator Todd Young for delivering his video remarks. This video that we're going to see was last used on February 2nd, 2024 for a Burmese prayer service. Even though Senator Young can't do the remarks in person today, Due to other commitments, we are going to meet with him later this week. I would like to express our thanks to His Excellency Dua Lashi La, Acting President of the National Unity Government of Myanmar, for his video remarks. I'm glad that Her Excellency Foreign Minister Dosen Ma Aung, spokesperson Yu Jo Zo, and deputy ministers are present here. Thank you for your time and commitment. I certainly also want to thank Stephen Schneck, Chair of the United States Commission on International Religious Freedom, and Carolyn Nash, Asia Advocacy Director of Amnesty International USA, for being here sharing with us as well. As we reflect on the events of the past 4 years, today serves as a solemn reminder of the urgent need for action and solidarity. We firmly believe that the Burmese military, also known as the Tatmadaw, has committed crimes against humanity and war crimes against civilians in Burma, and they should be held accountable for their crimes. Thank you all for taking this time to be here. Also, we would like to let you know, if you did not see, we do have reports on the table outside the room with a QR code where you can get more information about what has been happening over these last 4 years. Our first video remarks will come from His Excellency, the Acting President of NUG, Dua Lashi La.
Dear senators, distinguished guests, speakers, and participants. Firstly, I would like to thank you for receiving an opportunity to address the Congressional briefing on escalating human rights and religious freedom violation in Burma. Second, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Senator Chris Van Hollen and Senator Todd Jiang for supporting this important Congressional briefing. You have been very supportive of our people's struggle for freedom, democracy, and human rights. Thirdly, I also want to thank the Chin Association of Maryland, the American Baptist Church USA, all sponsors and participants. Religious freedom is a fundamental human right for all human beings. Unfortunately, the people of Burma, especially religious minorities in Burma, such as Christians, Hindus, and Muslims, have lost these very basic human rights for several decades under successive military regimes. I know it personally as a Kachin ethnic and a Christian. The majority of Buddhists were not spared either. Successive military regimes have brutally repressed the Buddhists and the monks who do not share the political stance and go of the military directives. It's been getting worse since February 2021 military coup. Almost 500 religious sites, including 147 churches, were burned or destroyed by the Burma military in less than 4 years. In addition, 256 religious leaders were killed and injured. Since the February 2021 coup, the arbitrarily detained over 28,000 people, including almost 200 religious leaders, almost 30,000 youths, including ethnic and religious minorities, were forcefully conscripted in 2024. As they are losing territories, the terrorist military council stepped up airstrikes on civilian targets, including religious facilities, schools, hospitals, and easy markets. Between September 2021 and November 2024, over 4,700 airstrikes were conducted by the junta. Around 70% of the airstrikes were targeted at the civilians. To end the killing of civilians, prevent ongoing human rights violations, and halt scam operation and transnational crimes committed by the junta and allies. The National Unity Government is working hard in hand with the ethnic resistance organization to eradicate the root cause of the problem, the military dictatorship. At this point, the military junta able to control less than 1/3 of territories in Myanmar as the resistance forces achieve tremendous military victories. In early 2024, we announced a common political agreement among the National Unity Government and ethnic allies. We anticipate a broader political agreement in 2025 for the new Federal Democratic Union that guarantees human rights, religious freedom, sustainable peace, and stability. With the unity and bravery of the people of Myanmar, we are destined to succeed. I thank the United States for standing up with the people of Myanmar. We need financial, material, and technical support from the United States in 2025 to restore freedom, human rights, and democracy sooner in Myanmar. Thank you very much.
Next, we'll be hearing from Senator Chris Van Hollen.
I am Chris Van Hollen, and I represent the great state of Maryland in the United States Senate. And while I regret that I cannot join you in person, I'm glad that I was able to secure this room for your briefing today. I want to thank all of you for coming to Capitol Hill, and I especially want to acknowledge the Executive Director of the Chin Association of Maryland, Zotu Umang, the Union Minister of Foreign Affairs of the National Unity Government, Da Zinmar Ung, and Chao Zhou, who is the spokesperson for the National Unity Government President. I also want to thank all of today's panelists, participants, and sponsoring organizations, including the Chin Association of Maryland, the International Campaign for Rohingya, the Burma Advocacy Group, and the Jubilee Campaign. You have all struggled and sacrificed to protect the Burmese people from terrible cruelty at the hands of the junta, the Tatmadaw. And I want you to know that I stand with you and will keep standing with you in this fight. We must not only condemn, but take more action to stop the long-standing persecution and ongoing genocide against the Rohingya people, in which the military has burned villages, raped and murdered tens of thousands, and displaced over 1 million people. We will never forget the deplorable coup of 2021 and what the junta has done with its power, a relentless campaign against their own people, especially ethnic minorities like the Chin, the Kachin, the Karen, and the Karenni have been singled out for violence. Christians have faced shocking attacks. Over 300 churches have been destroyed, and leading pastors and priests have been detained and killed. As you all know, some of the worst atrocities have been experienced by the Christians of the Chin state. History will remember that the junta has tried to eradicate their faith and their way of life. And in the face of these atrocities, history will remember who stood up and spoke out and who stayed silent. Right now, I'm working with my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to make sure that the United States redoubles its efforts to stop crimes against humanity in Burma. Here are just a few of the things that we need to do. First, we must seek accountability for the atrocities. We need to support international efforts, including the Independent Investigative Mechanism for Myanmar, the ICC's ongoing criminal investigation, and the Gambia's legal case against Myanmar in the International Court of Justice. And we must support civil society organizations inside and outside of Burma who are documenting the atrocities and protecting the victims and witnesses. We must send the Tatmadaw a clear message. You are not operating in the dark. We see what you are doing. The world is watching your every move, and we will hold you accountable for the atrocities and crimes you are committing. Second, America must support a diplomatic resolution to the ongoing fighting in the region, one that finally empowers the Burmese people to decide their own fate and future. Third, We must do more to confront the junta's #1 enabler on the international stage, the People's Republic of China, over this issue. For years, the PRC has prioritized its Belt and Road trade routes over millions of human lives in Burma and blocked the international community from effectively stepping in. We cannot allow them to do so any longer. America is the only nation that can effectively deter China in this matter, and we need to let them know that we will. To do all of this, we need to make Burma a diplomatic priority. The new administration must fully implement the provisions of the Burma Act, especially those regarding sanctions on the junta and the provision of non-lethal assistance to the resistance groups. The United States must have a special coordinator for democracy in Burma to coordinate U.S. diplomatic efforts and to interface with the United Nations, ASEAN, the PRC, and other high-level representatives on Burma. In particular, we cannot allow the junta to hold sham elections to legitimize its tyrannical rule, and we should sanction those who organize fraudulent elections. We need to do all of this and more. And we should have done more starting long ago. But the next best time to begin is now. So I'll end in the spirit I began, thanking you, all of you, for your relentless advocacy and action. Because of your courage, I know we will one day realize a world where no one in Burma lives in fear.
Next, we'll hear remarks from Senator Todd Young. Quick reminder, these remarks were first recorded a year ago at our Burmese Prayer Service.
Since February 2021, it's been heartbreaking to sit with fellow Hoosiers and hear how families and loved ones had their hopes and dreams for the future disrupted by the coup. Today, we remember the thousands of lives lost to violent oppression. We have not forgotten that millions of Burmese people are currently in need of humanitarian aid. I stand ready to stop those who seek to undermine the cause of peace and democracy. Burma has made great strides toward democratic governance, and while this coup is a setback, it will not be the end of the story. Since the military coup, I've been on the forefront of the United States Senate action in support of Burma's democracy, condemning the coup and calling for sanctions against senior military leaders for their gross human rights violations. Congress has taken important steps in recent years to express the need for urgent assistance to many opponents of the military government and to support accountability for the military's crimes. I believe that by working with you, my colleagues here in Washington, we can bring real help to the Burmese people and their aspirations for freedom and peace. I'm proud to stand with the people of Burma both now and in this time of crisis and in the future. Thank you and God bless.
Privilege for us to have Dr. Schneck with us, the United States, the chair of the United States Commission on International Religious Freedom.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to, first of all, thank the Chin Association of Maryland and the other sponsors for the invitation to be here today on this sad and solemn occasion. As you heard, my name is Stephen Schneck. I am currently serving as chair of the United States Commission on International Religious Freedom. The Commission's work is to monitor religious freedom conditions abroad. Of course, the situation in Burma is very high on our list of concerns. The Commission itself is an independent bipartisan commission established by the 1998 International Religious Freedom Act. USERF has monitored conditions in Burma since 2000. consistently recommending its designation as a country of particular concern, or CPC. This is the category of the worst of offenders of religious freedom around the world. The CPC designation is designated on the basis of systematic, ongoing, and egregious violations of religious freedom. And although the State Department has not yet announced its 2024 designations as scheduled, Burma was last redesignated as a CPC under the International Religious Freedom Act in December of 2023 for these ongoing violations of religious freedom. The Burmese military and its State Administration Council, or SAC, have targeted ethnic and religious minorities, including Christians, for more than 2 decades. The SAC violently targets all religious communities to maintain its grip on power and to achieve a Buddhist nationalist vision for Burma. Unfortunately, the Christian communities in Burma continue to bear the brunt of that tactic. I would like to note a few developments that USER has been particularly concerned about in recent months. Since the 2021 coup, the military has attacked more than 240 religious sites throughout the nation. In Chin State alone, over 100 churches and monasteries were destroyed, mostly from airstrikes. In May of 2024, airstrikes hit a Catholic church and a Baptist church in the town of Tangshan, forcing a parish priest and parishioners to flee into the surrounding forest. This happened shortly after the military attacked 2 churches in Mindot a month earlier. Other churches in Danyi, Kalam, Matubi also fell victim to such deliberate strikes. The scale of these attacks in the last 3 years have displaced more than 90,000 in Chin State alone, leaving them in frankly desperate conditions. USERF remains deeply concerned for those who have been detained or disappeared. These include the ethnic Chin pastor Salai E. Lalau Wee, in addition to USERF's, in a recent addition to USERF's victims list, whose religious leadership role and ethno-religious background became the grounds for his arrest. The SAC sentenced him to 10 years of imprisonment under defamation and terrorism charges. And to date, the SAC has detained and sentenced at least 14 Christians and another 113 religious persons since the coup. I want to note that USERF has consistently called out these atrocities and called out the genocide the Burmese military has committed against the predominantly Muslim Rohingya. Since the coup nearly 4 years ago, it has become clear that the failure of the international community to fully address the Rohingya crisis has enabled the Burmese military to employ similar tactics against other religious minorities, such as Chin Christians and Kaya and Zomi Catholics. As a personal note, I visited the Rohingya refugee camps in Cox's Bazar and saw the atrocious conditions there, where Muslims, not only Muslims, but Hindus and Christian refugees, as well as many Muslims, live in dire circumstances. I've met with Zomi refugees in Malaysia. In our 2024 annual report on Burma, we urged Congress and the Biden administration to fully implement the Burma Unified through Religious Military Accountability Act of 2022, generally known as the Burma Act, to better promote religious freedom in Burma, as these measures can better ensure justice and accountability mechanisms for the Rohingya and other persecuted religious minorities. The Burma Act also authorizes the United States government to engage with Burma's pro-democracy opposition, including the National Unity Government, of which we have representatives in today, and ethnic armed organizations as well. In addition, USERF has also called on the administration to work with the governments of Bangladesh, India, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Thailand to assist the refugee communities streaming from Burma today. Lastly, the United States government has sanctioned key perpetrators of human rights violations in Burma. In January of last year, the United States Department of Treasury sanctioned 2 entities closely associated with Burma's military and its foreign cronies. These actors were directly or indirectly linked to attacks and airstrikes against Christians, their houses of worship, seminaries and villages and towns of ethnic and religious minorities. As the military is increasingly losing territories in Burma, USERF looks forward to the United States Department of Treasury making more of such targeted sanctions to incapacitate this military regime. The United States government will need to coordinate its efforts with the international community to deter this military from further attacking religious minorities. The United States Commission on International Religious Freedom looks forward to a new Burma, a Burma that respects the principles of human rights, a Burma that respects religious freedom for all the people of Burma, regardless of religion, regardless of ethnicity. Please continue your vital work. It is essential for all of us to work together for those who cannot. Thank you.
It's my honor now to introduce Carolyn Nash. She's the Asia Advocacy Director of Amnesty International USA.
Thank you so much for inviting me to speak today, and thank you to everyone who joined us. My name, as you heard, is Carolyn Nash. I'm the Asia Advocacy Director for Amnesty International. It has been 4 years since the Myanmar military plunged the country into a humanitarian, political, and economic freefall. Since the takeover, the military has arrested more than 28,000 people, more than 21,000 remain. A confirmed 6,000 civilians have been killed by military forces. Unconfirmed estimates place the number closer to 30,000 dead. Recent UN reports indicate that 3.4 million people have been displaced internally, many from farming communities. Along with a lack of access to seeds and fertilizer, a resultant part of a cratering economy, the disruptions to farming communities have placed 15.2 million people at risk of food insecurity. Amnesty International has documented the military's attack in the east of the country, where operations reflect a long-standing pattern of collective punishment of civilians. The military has attacked civilians and civilian infrastructure from the air and the ground, causing mass displacement and an escalating humanitarian crisis. Amnesty has also documented the military's reliance on airstrikes and on jet fuel to carry out these attacks, and has further documented the failures of other countries and governments to interrupt the supply chain. In the face of waning international interest and intensifying geopolitical chaos, Myanmar people, including ethnic groups, human rights defenders, and pro-democracy activists, have rejected the military's abuses and intimidation tactics. They have persisted in a fight that very few people expected they could win or even sustain back in February 2021. Their movement predates the coup. There is a long tradition of activism, of peaceful protest, and of civilian-led resistance in Myanmar. And it has, in the past, been sustained and supported by governments and organizations around the world who believe that no one group's strength, safety, or prosperity can be entirely untethered from that of their global neighbors. It has been sustained and supported by policies that enshrine a belief in collective welfare. By the end of last year, more than 1.3 million people had fled Myanmar, making its escapees the 6th largest refugee population in the world. In response, the international community has mobilized a financial and resettlement response that is falling dangerously short of the overwhelming need. UNHCR has secured less than $180 million from donor countries, only 43% of the over $400 million they estimate is needed to address the crisis. Between 2011 and 2023, the United States admitted more than 100,000 refugees from Myanmar. But within hours of assuming office, President Trump halted America's refugee program by executive order, forcing applicants who had already been approved for resettlement to cancel travel plans. 4 years since the coup, Myanmar's crisis is no longer receiving even cursory efforts from the international community to deliver the level of political, financial, or practical support necessary to provide safety to all of its people. This has done nothing to shake the convictions or the commitment of the people's resistance to military rule. It is now up to governments, including the United States, to restore paths to safety for those displaced by harm, to fulfill obligations for support, including obligations outlined in the Burma Act, and to show up in the world in a way that demonstrates a basic understanding not only of how U.S. foreign policy reflects American humanity, but also how it reflects or undermines America's strength, credibility, and viability in an interconnected world. Thank you again for being here.
Now I'm going to see a video produced by the Chin Association of Maryland that was shown in September of 2023 concerning that briefing.
Welcome to the Congressional briefing escalating atrocities against Christians in Burma. We're glad to have you join us this afternoon. While the United States has determined that the Ramadan has been genocide against the Rohingya, this briefing aims to highlight the plight of Christians in Burma so that the international community, especially Congress and the administration, does more to hold the Ramadan as a challenge. The Burmese military is clearly now employing the same tactics against Christians that it previously deployed against predominantly Muslim religions. And because of the inaction of the international community already enabling genocide against the Rohingya community, the Burmese military clearly believes that it has a free hand to further target other religious minorities such as the Chin and Kachin Christians.
And in 2022, on Christmas Eve, 30 plus people were being killed in the United States. We would like to urge again, please work and support that the US government could take actions and could determine what has been happening to the Christian community as crimes against humanity and war crimes.
Successive military dictatorships have targeted Christian communities and other religious communities in Burma for decades. Since the military attempted coup on February 1st, 2021, the Myanmar military junta increasingly targeted religious communities. I would like to talk about the Reverend Dr. Collins, who's a Christian leader who faced persecution by military standards. Counter military group, the capital was again targeted Reverend Dr. Collins on December 5, 2022. He arrested him at the Mandalay International Airport on his way to Bangkok for medical treatment. The military interrogated him at the Central Region Military Headquarters and stopped his flight from providing medicine. On April 7, 2023, Vietnam prison court in the state sentenced Reverend Dr. Collins to 6 years.
Số tiền này khẩn cấp giảm lâu là những bạn tình sự mà chúng ta tiền đi khẩn cấp là những bé những bạn ăn là chế bản là những sẽ là những cái tiêu tiền mà chúng Presbyterian ít người đang lâu, okay. I needed more in my download village, where the building you saw where the second body was found was my grandpa's house where I was born, where my father was born. And I'm here to speak on behalf of the villagers. About 500 of them were the total number of the village. About 300 of them were outside to one of the nearby town called Fargo, part of Missouri. And about 120 of them strong, more able men within and the village rebuilding houses. And as you can see, most of the houses are uninhabitable, so they have to stay there and to rebuild the process.
The military have also village on March 30th. United States Army is doing the duty. During that incident happened, my mom and my younger sister. When the bomb was dropped, 9 people killed instantly and 10 people were wounded. When the first bomb was dropped, 14 houses were destroyed, and on August 14th, they dropped another bomb and destroyed 20 houses and 2 churches and 1 hospital.
We need accountability, which calls for administrations to determine these atrocities or crimes against humanity. We call again for the US to join the EU in the sanction with equity. Thank you.
Going to finish the first part of the briefing with a powerful testimony from the Reverend Dr. Stanley, who serves as a senior pastor of the Emmanuel Chin Baptist Church in Wisconsin, as he tells the story about his brother who was a pastor in the Chin State and was assassinated by the Taliban.
Morning, everyone. So, and I'd like to express my sincere thanks to all participants, especially to the organizers. And this talk is about the victims of justice, discrimination, and legal acts of Huncha. Everybody has some moments that we can forget or we will never forget. For me, one moment that I'll never forget is September 18, 2021. Early in the morning, around 6:15 Central Time, I got a phone call from one of my cousins. And I thought that I'll hear bad news about my uncle, because my uncle was under cancer treatment at that time. But I was wrong. He told me that someone by the name of Yapol was shot dead by the army, and whether that person is my youngest brother or not. I was shocked. I sent a Facebook message to my brother whether they are okay or not, but I got no reply for almost 10 minutes. And every time I text him, he always replied me within 5 minutes. When I didn't get any reply, I called him, but he didn't pick up. And it was already 6:36 in the morning in Myanmar time. No, sorry, in Central time. That moment was one of the most painful moments in my life. And I'll never forget. I cried and I cried and I cried. My brother was a youth pastor at Centenary Baptist Church. He was born on December 12, 1990. After my father passed away on December 9, 1999, he lived with my mom. And he was the one who took care of my mom and his family. There was no one whom my mother relied on for everything. While he was studying civil engineering at Technological University in Glenview, Myanmar, he got married with Miss Sitapar on April 12, 2010. And at that time, they had two sons. Decided to serve God, he left his engineering university and studied Bachelor of Theology course at Gideon Christian College in 2011, and then earned his PhD degree in March 2015. In June 2015, God granted him the opportunity to serve him as a youth pastor at Centenary Baptist Church. He continued his Master of Divinity and did program at the Institute of Theology, MIT, where he taught since 2007. When he started his second year of the program, the school was closed due to COVID-19 pandemic. That he returned home to Vietnam and resumed his courses through online until the military coup in February 2021. Due to the majority of people in Myanmar protested the coup, the military limited the internet access, shut down several times, and his online course had to be halted. The military junta becomes cruel day after day as the military forces were sent to many places, including downtown. Several residents of town fled the town to avoid the crime committed by brutal military force in Punjab. They shot houses and bombed in some places. My brother and his family, along with my mother, remained in town as TCBC members were severely hit by COVID-19 pandemic. Moreover, his wife, Sitabar, was 7 months pregnant. On September 18, 2021, the military forces shelling by artillery hit houses in town and houses were on fire, spreading the flames to the net. In the afternoon of the day, my brother could not sit calm, that he made phone calls to some of his friends, urging them to put out the fire and hop on his motorbike and rush to help his members and his town. Around 2 minutes after he left the house, his family and my mother had the gunshot sound and kept dialing his phone, but could not reach it anymore. He never made it to the scene. He was brutally shot twice on his chest by the brutal military forces, cut his ring finger to steal his wedding ring. His watch and his mobile phone were stolen as well. Because of constant gunfire and shelling by artillery, his body was retrieved only after around 2 hours. His remains was buried the next day morning. As soon as the funeral service was done, my mom and my brother's family fled the town together to Mizoram, India. They rented a house in Mizoram and lived together. His wife, Sitapar, gave birth to a daughter on November 15, 2021. Her daughter was a true blessing, but she was born after her father was murdered. She was born without a father. My brother would be filled with joy if he were there when his daughter was born, since he and his wife had been praying to have a baby girl. Even before the baby was born, my brother gave her a name, Susanna, though he did know that the baby would be a girl. Now his wife and her 3 children decided to live together with my mom to take care of one another. In December 2021, my mom was informed that our house was burned down to ashes by the military force. This is one of story among many other stories of the people in Myanmar. In September 2029, in September 29, 2021, 10 days after my brother was shot dead, the brutal military force shot dead another 2 civilians, Pu Radu and Pu Fangzhong. Because of such brutal and evil acts of the junta, all residents of Pantang fled the town in October 2021 and took shelter at other surrounding villages and some places in Mizoram, India. Now there are about 30,000 people from Pantang are residing as refugees from this place in India. When the Chinland transport decided to defend themselves and the people, and whether they are shooting, the military burned down the houses, including religious buildings. More than 11 churches have been burned up by the military. And one of them is Pantang Baptist Church, where my grandfather served as the first pastor, and where I grew up and nourished myself spiritually and mentally. It's hard, it's painful to hear and see our people are suffering, crying and dying in the other land. So today I humbly would like to request all of you to join us in fighting against the evil injustice military junta. If you and I are just watching what is happening in Myanmar and take no action very soon, we will hear and read so many other sad and painful stories like ours. Many children will become orphans, and many women will be left as widows. Many of our young people have sacrificed their lives for the suffering people of the country. Let's join our hands to end this kind of crime against humanity, race, and religion. I'm not just asking for your sympathy, but I'm requesting your compassionate action for justice, freedom, and democracy in Myanmar. Thank you very much.
The transition now to our panel.
I'd like to invite members of the panel to please come with us. Pastor David, Father David, and Father Peter.
An ô đi tục gần mà mình cần thấy châu sự nè tiếc thà lâu giờ chân xe ô đi tục mình khá phải ngay đi chỉ ra một ça danse pas ça hein long tay đâu đây
It's a different kind.
Okay. Just a taster of it.
To have
ça anh vô trình nè khi mà mình thích quốc phòng bậc cái gì lâm này thì không có này là tiêu pha đâu thì They come to Bana Atanam Ngai Miko, teacher Ngai me programs. Dam ko ti.
Burmese Catholics in the central part of the nation are mainly the descendants of Portuguese who were captured by King and often in 1610. These prisoners of war, a total of 5,000, including women and children, were settled in the kingdom of Palo, present Chennai division. Since the time of King Palo, who succeeded King Anophantum, these Christians were allowed to build their own churches and the land were provided by the king. Shanda village, which is one of the villages of those prisoners of war. The assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary Church was built in 1894 in Shanda village. It was 129 years old, historic church in Burma. It was a foundry of Burmese Catholic ideas. It was the birthplace of the very first independent Bishop of Burma, Archbishop Joseph. He was baptized in that historic church. It was also the birthplace of my grandmother and my mother and all my siblings. They all were baptized in that church. The Ascension Church was burned down by the military on January 15, 2023. The military raided and set fire to it. A 100-year-old convent was also destroyed in the fire. The village of Chandler is an iconic for the Catholic Church in Burma, particularly for the people of the Archdiocese of Mandalay, because that parish provides vocations like bishops, priests, and religious men, including my own uncle and my aunt, who were priests and men. And many others from that village became priests and men. Another such village in Archdiocese of Mandalay is Mota, birthplace of Cardinal Charles, Archbishop of Rangoon. The Church of St. Michael of Mona was also destroyed by the military last year in August and in November 2024. On January 12, 2004, Pope John Paul II, in his address to the Diplomatic Corps, said, the principle of autonomy involves respect for every religious profession on the part of the state, which assures the free exercise of ritual, spiritual, cultural, and charitable activities by communities of believers. In a pluralistic society, secularity is a base of communication between the different spiritual traditions and the nation. Unfortunately, the Christians in Burma were treated by the government unjustly from the marginalization of Christianity would not bode well for the future of society or for consensus among people. Indeed, it would threaten the very spiritual and cultural foundations of civilization. The Church understands the effects of the mystery of lawlessness. Second Thessalonians 2:7. For the mystery of lawlessness is already at work. I was privileged to be invited as a speaker at New York Conference 2024. I would like to refer back to the concluding remarks of my presentation there. So, the cry of Burma, the cry of the poor, the cry of persecuted brothers and sisters, reaching out to your heart and to your ears. Let them not slumber. May your faith become reality. We are the irreducible humanity. Remember us in your charity. Be with us in solidarity. I'm very grateful for your time. Charity is the greatest social harmony. It respects others and their rights. It requires the kindness of justice and it alone makes us capable of it. Please use your power vested upon you by the Constitution of the United States, by the freedom of the people of the United States, and to bring justice to the suffering mankind of Burma
โอ้ยดี
with all your
ดี
strength. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And he's currently at the monastery. So I'd like to and we'll
Hello, Mingalava. Hello. Namananga Prabha. Chanda. Logon de Ari from our Adama Matari, Jobio. Saga did at the Poku Pong, 1 of 1 going away. Hello, why did all? Sorry, I'm so you Jari. Namananga Introla. Not Popura, but the Pokas in Maria. Momo Brima. Paliniama. Kita ubah, Zadavato Dayan, Buddhan to Mingala. Within you took a day, Game, Buddhan to Saba Parame. Zadavaku, the Kona, put it down and Georgia, that was the Narodi. So they Andrew, in my arm, a conga made it. It's a Nanga, Golden. To Mingala, just the share we land again. Some winner, she Orandu Gonga Mutok, they are the town of Lujan and Java. Look at the game, a bed, look at the young John, you go. Who then do let they are the children and Java, the Golden. Tava Parame, along they are Chigon Yadi. Don't yard, Sally, Parmi, Pumpkin, Hongo. Who then do the Senate, the same. In the Malimbo, you die, chicken and Java, the Golden. English Kata, Abel, Alon Changan, he said, Manjava, read it. In my common baby, Rohan de Ari, in Donanga, Adamawa, Rohan de Ane, Omi on Soran and Java, from the Bita, Punaman and Mara, Alon Dokaya, Alon people, not, and that he do not give on you, example, not. Take on your way, attack on your to you where you are, it was the Azikania that were Panzikania, not? And then I found on that Olu Pankania for not. Alo Pinaila Missy, Tamaila Missy, Villa Missy, Villa Missy, Baba Missy, for not. I don't know, Toka, the cornet, Adama, not? I could come down, who now she got that Pokuria. To bomb your Soraja message on my head. Medical and what medical and Havna. Medical Malashi Nitade. Alona Poku Yara. The Mabia, you for not, no value. That is an amigo. Sensing in the paper, Fatty Lara, the Shuti was a son of you. Getting out, Jama Yella Soria Piva. And I say, Adaba Warari. Yet you guy, I want to go somewhere down. Daria, Alo TV Lava. Boa, second time we were there. A Bobo Jari, let me show her. To the lolly, Jana, only Saka, we show her. Now, Bobo Mogo, my Johnson. Bobo John, a Peter Town here. When Johnny, Tangaro social matter, visual carbon, down in the seal. Yeah, but the matter. Don't need down up or not. You don't take or not. Did you do that? And that, and I go, why are we the stand up here? Medica, so I never walk. Alo or not. You do a on here. You don't got it, don't know. Only saw that bit of the garden, city, we but you're Alo and you that. What a Bulara Pasa, my partner, I'm in love with Jordan. So bio and me. No, then I tell you, who you white to me. You know you but don't I. Then you do it again. Huh? For my name, I got. Đâu ra thì cái những cái nó đi vào alo gì như này nó alo mà đâu đi ra công cụ ra mà như mà đi ăn sẽ là bị đâu đi ra công cụ sẽ sao này mà đi em làm bắt thì chỉ là đâu vào đấy công cụ nghe sao thì vào mà ra bù làm mà cái nào sẽ rồi đi mà ta cái sẽ là công cụ vào cụ chế bị rồi cái đó là lúc mà đi ăn trái gì bọn nó ta đâu vào đây cụ tại sao đấy nó xong tụi xóa này nọ mà đi trên là đu này anh đi mà tụi bà lên rồi truy đi lấy cao thì xoay cho đi ra rồi để chi vì đấy đó là người ta ra bà vì đấy thì mà làm cái rồi ra bà tụi mà phá này nó đấy rồi chúa là hôm mà tụi toa gì cái cảm của tôi xem đấy ai mà lấy cái cuộc phép của sao đấy cũng là mà bị gì à cái đồ chuyện như bao hả anh lấy ra làm đến cái đoàn đấy rồi đây là alo của nó trên địa bao cái khai đi bao alo đây này đi cả mà đây là mấy xíu mà đi ra thì alo biết là bây giờ này có sản nào có được ta có cha phép đi đi khá đấy ta phép khá đấy ai rồi ai chỗ khá thì có sản nào biết rồi có một bộ người ya cứ mà một đi vào đó rồi con đi ăn không ăn mà đi và tôi có ăn thì nhìn nào mà đi rồi là nào phải xíu đó ai là cha này xin lấy cái nào cũng biết mà này alo hả đi nhà để cho tôi này một lúc này này tao một tháng sau rồi đâu phải rồi ông mà rồi bao nhiêu anh đi rồi này bên chỗ này đi cùi đâu bây giờ mà thế rồi bên chỗ này mula đây chỗ này cái này mà đó alo và tôi có vào đây ra mà chăn là các bạn biết American kia nó người ta này nói này được không và tôi có vào đây thì nghe mà biết nằm đi ra đi lên giao xe đâu cả mà giống nhau bị rồi nằm bây giờ các bạn để mà tết đấy ngày nói ít này ngày kiểu sau đấy ta bảo bác sĩ khám đi đấy còn sao tôi chỉ để được qua alo lúc nào cha bảo đi đi ra đi đấy lúc nào cha bảo đi lúc sáng nay đi đấy hôm nay hôm qua là mình cũng sudah biết đảm bảo đại đi cô cho bạn đấy alo lúc nào ông sau này ta bảo đi
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Agrima. I'm a secretary of Burma American Buddhist Association in the East Coast of the United States of America. I'm assisting local ACRO today. Thank you so much for everybody who joining here today. And thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to address the human rights matters in Myanmar. It is a privilege to address the religious freedom of Myanmar. So we would like to request continue to help financial aid, education, and healthcare for Myanmar. And I would like to express thank you so much for the senators and whoever helping us for Myanmar. And Seattle trying to express like we need help from the U.S. government. So please help us. We are hoping for working together, and we really need support from the U.S. government. We are praying for Myanmar, United States, and the whole world, especially who suffer because of war, disaster, all the tragic incident victims around the world. We are hoping for peace, love, kindness, and humanity. So we will work together for the better for the Myanmar. Hopefully, we'll work out. God bless Myanmar. God bless United States of America, and God bless the whole world. We need love and peace. Thank you.
I think it was particularly important for us to have representative from the Buddhist community on this panel today because Myanmar is predominantly Buddhist. And if we have someone from the Buddhist community advocating for religious freedom and standing up with other ethnic and religious minorities, it sends a powerful message that not that there are Buddhists who are advocating for democracy and for religious freedoms for all, as opposed to what the Tibetan government is doing. So at this point, I'd like to invite Lucky to come and make a few remarks. Again, I apologize that we were not able to have her bio in the printed program, but scanning through it very briefly, she fled in 2017 from Myanmar to Cox's Bazar, where Mr. Schmidt had talked about visiting and seeing the very difficult conditions. And she, as a very young woman, has achieved so much in terms of trying to advocate not only for humanitarian assistance, but for women's rights. She came to the U.S. only in 2022 after having spent several years in Cox's Bazar. She is the director of the Refugee Women for Justice and advocacy manager for the International Campaign for Rohingya, and is a fellow with Refugees International. So, over to you.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I'll keep it very short. Thanks to Shane, Associate of Berlin, and thanks to everyone who joined us today. As she said, my name is Mati Karim, originally from Burma, Myanmar, and I was supposed to flee in 2017, 25th August after the genocide and crimes against humanity and against us were committed by the Burmese military. I lived for 6 years in Cox's Bazar in Bangladesh. Before arriving in the US, it's been 2 years and 2 months since I arrived in the US and visiting Chicago. We all know the situation in Rakhine State and the whole overall for every ethnic minorities in Burma. But I think the few important points is, even though I belong to the Rohingya community, I was a minority in Rakhine State. I think the religious freedom and the situations for almost every ethnic minorities in the country has gone to a similar way, in another way. Every one of us, the Shin community, the Korean community, the Christian community, within us, Rohingya Muslim, have gone through this similar situation for the decades so far. So I think it is the collective failures of us and the national community to respond to some of those needs in Myanmar, especially for the minorities and tax civilians in the country from all this violence and crimes for decades long. I mean, this is actually the time for us to respond to this. We have done so much already from different organizations, government, individually, and collectively. But the most important point was the gap we had, all of us had, was the inclusive participations of the factors into the decision-making processes and the representations. One of the main reasons why all of us have collectively felt. So again, I request everyone to continue the work, and it's never late, but it's actually getting over for every one of us.
and the situations for all the three minorities in our country and the people who already left the country and are displaced at the border or in the region have been almost similar to what actually for so long. So the support from both U.S. government officials, international community, donor countries, and of course, policymakers, INGOs, civil society, individuals, and human rights activists equally important.
Thank you very much, Becky, for your testimony of your journey to come to the United States. At this time, I'd like to invite the Reverend Alve to come up. He was born and raised in the Chin State and serves as General Secretary of the Chin Baptist Churches USA and as a pastor in Maryland, Chin Baptist.
Also, Maryland is from Baptist Church, and also a General Secretary of Baptist USA. I used to present about the Reverend Dr. Tommy Samson. He was prison for 6 years, but now he's released from the prison to the fellow international communities. Thanks all of you. On November 15, 2025, military airstrikes by the Burmese military resulted in the death of 9 people, including 6 children, at the Congo Christian Baptist Church in Christian State. This attack targeted at the church compound where 20 families were residing. Additionally, 11 people were wounded and required treatment at Lisa Hospital. Earlier on October 27, the Burma Army dropped bombs on Sinli Kachin Baptist Church around 9:45 p.m. local time in the northern Shan State. Burmese military has attacked other minority Kachin churches. As a result, an ethnic and religious minority Kachin Christian people have faced persecution for many years. There are more than 100,000 internally displaced people in the Kachin and the Shan states. The Kachin community is no stranger to atrocity, and the brutal action of Burmese military are threatening Christians in Burma. The military systematically oppressed Christians in Burma, conducting regular attack on civilians. For instance, on October 9, 2023, the military bombed the Moonlight camp for internally displaced people, killing 29 civilians and injured 60, including 11 children. According to Kachin Baptist Convention HDG report, 36,362 new internally displaced people have settled in different towns in Kachin State. We need accountability for the crimes committed against human rights in Burma, and we urge Congress and the administration to assist us in this matter. Thank you.
Now I'd like to invite Father Peter Dedi, who is originally from Karenni State. So we have Chin, Mandalay, and Karenni State involved here. And he's been here for a number of years, like 11 years at this point, 12 years at this point. And he has been involved with the Lloyd Powell Diocese. And if you look in the back at the picture with the destruction of many of the churches, that is where he's from. So he has also been working a lot with Burmese refugees in the Midwest region of the United States as a chaplain. So, Father Peter.
Good afternoon, everyone. As I was introduced, my name is Peter Didi, born and raised in Puso, a village located about 6 miles from Mosul. If you remember, where 31 people were tragically burned alive on December 25th, 2021. Puso is situated about 20 miles from Boyko, the capital of Karenni State of Gaya State, and serves as a key point for travel west or southwest within the state. The news about Puso situation of Gaya State hardly made news. I'm grateful to Amnesty International USA for mentioning the situation in Karenni State. Since 1962, Puso has been a target of the military coup, with the situation intensifying following the 1988 student uprising. The military's brutal tactics escalated further in 1990 and 1992 when they implemented the four-cut strategy in the western region of Gaya State, affecting Puso and the Mosul Township. I'm intimately familiar with what it means to flee from soldiers. I lived through the agony of constructing bomb shelters, as each night brought the terrifying sound of heavy and light artillery. The gunshots became so frequent that they become like lullabies for our children. Because when the children heard the gunshots, they have to stay quiet. In 1990, our lives were upended as the military confiscated the parish compound to establish a military base. For us Christians, Christmas celebrations were not allowed by then. Christmas celebrations were prohibited for so many years, and even when allowed, they came with strict permits and limitations. Many men were arrested by soldiers and never returned. As of 2024 census, Gaya State or Karenni State has a population of approximately 350,000, with around 100,000 Christians. Over 9,000 are Catholics, and the remainder follow Buddhism, Islam, or nature worship. As we are so familiar, since May 2021, 1/3 of the entire population has been displaced. Tragically, this displacement is nothing new. Over 2/3 of the population has been on the run since November 1st, 2021. Displacement brings unimaginable hardships. It means a lack of stable education and healthcare, and the uncertainty of where the next meal will come from. It means seeing the face of hungry children, heartbreaking sight that never ends. The Boyko Diocese, founded in 1989, has always been under military surveillance. During the 1990 and 1992 periods, the military carried out their forecast strategy in Christian areas, displacing many to the island border and eventually to third countries. Despite this, the diocese has remained resilient and committed to caring for internally displaced people, IDPs, which has drawn the military joiners' attention and led to further violence. According to the latest updates from Progressive Karenni People Force, there has been 536 civilian deaths, 54 religious buildings, including churches and convents, bombed and shelled, and 2,800 houses destroyed and damaged. Between 2021 to 2024, remote parish churches such as Semitic Church, you can see the picture at the back there, in Donyaku, Sacred Heart Church in Kayantaya, were targeted and destroyed by the military. The violence continued, especially on November 26th. The military soldiers forcibly occupied the pastoral center and Christ the King Catholic Church in Whitehall, further escalating the sufferings of the community. Indeed, the military junta has shown a calculated approach in its attacks, striking where it hurt most, like the churches, schools, and homes. They do this to cause the deepest pain. We need to stop this violence. I believe the atrocities against the people of Burma constitutes crimes against humanity. So I'm asking the Congress and the administration to help us. We want freedom of religion in Burma. We need your help. Thank you so much. God bless you and God bless everyone. God bless.
All right, well, thank you very much for the panel. I appreciate all your interventions and updated information about what has been happening in Burma, Myanmar. And we appreciate all of your continued advocacy and attention and trying to highlight what is happening there so that the U.S. government and the international donors can better respond. At this point, I'd like to invite Dawson Mahong, the Foreign Minister of the National Unity Government of Myanmar, to come and give a few comments. So,
Doesn't matter. It's like
Thank you so much. I just wanted to thank you, the organizer and the co-organizer for this event. And please allow me to extend, taking this opportunity, please allow me to extend my sincere condolences to those who died and those mourning their loss in the coalitions over the river. Despite the distance between our people, we can feel your pain. I hope you can feel our. So on January 27th, the world commemorates 80th anniversary of the liberations of Auschwitz, and the world not only must remember, but now must collectively act safe, protect, and free those, including my people, who are victims of genocides and murder by a tyrannical regime. So I'm here in this event and request from all the panelists and advocates. I really appreciate that the senators, speakers, and distinguished speakers and guests and all the advocates on behalf of the people of Myanmar. We cannot achieve stability without real and lasting social harmony. Stability thrives when we reject the forces of divisions and embrace our shared identity. From Kachin Hills to the shore of the Tenetang, our strength lies in our diversity. Religions must be a force for peace and never a tool for control. Faith must become a bridge and not a barrier. So religious leaders have the power to foster understanding, to reconcile differences, and to inspire unity. It is time for all faiths to stand together, not as adversaries, but as allies in the pursuit of peace. So I just wanted to thank you all. The bridge to stability is not built with words alone. So it is built with actions, unity, and the unwavering commitment to progress. So each of us has a role to play: leaders, workers, elders, and youth alike. A stable Myanmar is not a distant dream. So we will win this revolution and create a future together if we continue to stand together across generations, across communities, and across faiths. So let us move forward with, not with fear, but with determination. Let us build a Myanmar where every citizen has a place, a voice, and a future. Let us be the generation that turns conflicts into cooperations, that replace fear with hope, and that builds a Myanmar defined not by division, but by resilience, unity, and peace. But we need friends like you in this room and beyond these rooms, and to realize, to overcome, to achieve this endeavor. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Foreign Minister, for your inspiring words about building bridges and using faith as a way to build bridges. At this time, Zo Tum, who is the Executive Director of the Chin Association of Maryland, will give concluding remarks.
I would like to express my profound gratitude to all of you for taking the time to participate at this briefing. I'm grateful to Senator Chris Van Hollen and his staff. Without their assistance, this briefing would not have been possible. Also, I would like to thank you, our speakers, His Excellency Dewar Nasila, acting President of the National Unity Government of Myanmar, Senator Van Hollen, Senator Young, Caroline Ness of Amnesty International, and Stephen Snake of USAF. Thank you also to our moderators and panelists. We have held 2 congressional briefings on Burma, September 2023 and February 2024. At those briefings, we asked the Biden administration to determine that the atrocities committed by the Burmese military constitute crimes against humanity and war crimes. I am urging the Trump administration and the Congress to make a determination on these crimes. Doing so will demonstrate that the US stands firmly with the people of Burma. I believe that the determination will also de-escalate and even deter the Tatmadaws' violence against civilians. And the perpetrators must be held accountable. Lastly, I would like to urge the Congress to hold a congressional hearing on freedom of religion or live in Burma. Thank you so much.
Thank you all for coming. We have of the acting president of the National Unity Government's remarks, which I will put on the table here for those of you who would like to take a copy of the remarks. Thank you all for coming and for, we hope for your continued participation and struggle to promote democracy, human rights, religious freedom in Burma. And thank you.
So